Adam, thank you so much for joining us. It's great to have you back here at Royal Pines for your title defence. How are you feeling heading into the week?
Yeah, look, I'm really looking forward to this week. Obviously, it's kind of a home game for me, so it's a win-win. And I haven't achieved exactly what I wanted the last couple of starts down here in Australia. It'd be nice to finish the year off with a win and defend a title. Always feels good. And give myself a little confidence boost going into next year.
Fabulous. Questions, please.
Yeah, it was good out there this morning. It was getting a little warm, but I thought the course pulled up well after some pretty severe weather the last night and the day before.
Adam, you mentioned, I guess, the past two events down here. I mean, how has this summer gone compared? I mean, obviously last year was so great for you. How has this summer gone as, I guess, part of the year as a whole as well?
Like I said, it's not exactly what I had in mind. I've played well, but I've got off to such poor starts. I'd like to change that this week and get off to a good start. But when you're off to a slow start, you know, the pressure's on. You can't make mistakes for the next 3 days, and you have to play almost flawless. And I did a good job of getting myself back in the mix, but wasn't able to finish them off. So it'd be nice to get off to a bit better start and kind of take the pressure off as the week goes on.
Just the final putt out here today. The greens were a bit different, obviously, to what you've been playing the last couple of times, but nice to finish on that little, 3 or 4 metre job on the 18th to sink it.
Yeah, good to make one going into tomorrow. Confidence is now high.
Adam, with Graham Marsh's redesign, one of the holes that he has configured particularly is the 8th hole. The tee was set right back today. How far up does it have to be before you think about going for it?
I think about 20 yards maybe. It needs to go forward. Yeah, off the back it's not realistic to have a crack. However, you can still get close and have maybe a possible chip and a putt there. But I've heard they're going to move it up certainly one day to kind of open it up for everyone, which I think is a good idea.
Yeah. Do you think it is a good hole amongst a bunch of good redesigned holes? What are your thoughts on that night?
Yeah, I think that's a good hole. I think drivable fours are always interesting, but they do have to be kind of short and quite severe so that enough people consider going for it at least. And I think if they move the tee up, they'll get that kind of result on the 8th hole. But I think it's a fairly strong 9 holes.
Adam, you mentioned this is home. How much of a home is this? How much time are you able to spend here, and what are your plans over Christmas?
Yeah, last year I didn't get to spend any time here. I was here this week and maybe 4 other days, so I still call it home, although not last year. This year though, I'm planning to spend the next 8 or 10 weeks here, and which will be a really nice break. And at Christmas, it's always very low-key at our place because I have a very small family and it'll just be 4 of us, and a lot of good time relaxing and enjoying all the things I miss when I'm away from home.
Adam, Stephen mentioned that the rough out there was fairly brutal as opposed to last year. What did you make of it?
Yeah, certainly on the front 9, the rough has grown, and probably it's growing as we speak after the rain and the sunshine right now. It's severe, it's to be avoided, and almost hard to get it on the green out of the rough. So there's plenty of fairway to hit out there though. It's not very tight, but it's good to see a little bit of rough out there, especially as conditions have now got a bit soft and the ball's not going to run through as probably much as we all hoped, and it's going to play a little bit easier with the soft conditions.
Adam, how is it getting harder to come down here and do these events? I mean, you've obviously been down here the last 2 years. How determined are you to keep coming down here, and what's the pressure on sort of with other events overseas and stuff like that?
I don't find it that hard. I'd like to come back every year and play. It may or may not always be the case, but that's certainly my goal. I definitely don't have a better place to be this week. This is home, and like I said, last year I spent about 11 days here, so any excuse is a good one for me. And I've spoken a little bit the last few weeks about, I think there's a lot of positive energy around golf in Australia at the moment and over the last few years. And that's hard to keep going when it is such a long break in between events down here. But somehow at the moment we've managed to do that through good performances from the guys overseas and them coming back and playing, having some great events, the President's Cup, and keeping the momentum rolling. So, we need to keep doing that at the moment because I think golf's in a good point. And, I'd be hopeful, and there was talk of it a few weeks ago of, maybe getting a World Golf Championship down here as a permanent spot in Australia. I think something like that, or a PGA, something affiliated with the PGA Tour potentially, would be great for the game down here and kind of solidify Australia's importance in the game of golf, because we've certainly been a significant part of golf for a long time.
Adam, just on the course again, with two so vastly different nines and Graham having changed the front nine so that bunkers that weren't in play now are, and the greens are very, very different to before, do you feel like the back nine's going to play easier?
Probably. It probably will. It's really hard to say. It's when we haven't been out there actually having to make a score yet. It's a bit of a mystery. You think it would, but you never know. I think, unfortunately, the rains have just softened it up so much that it's all going to be a bit easier for us this week. And but the rough is up, so you've got to keep it straight. It's going to be hard to score out of the rough. But if you're in the fairway, there's a good chance of stopping on the green and attacking some pins, even on the new nine. But that's only a good thing. I think it's fun to watch birdies.
And just with the amount of rain that's forecast, some talk that perhaps the tournament couldn't be decided within the 4 days. Would you have a view on how it should be decided? We had a tie once before. Should they play on the Monday? What would your view be?
Hopefully it's not something we have to worry about, but it's always nice to get a result, and I think there's no reason for us not to come back on Monday. I don't think anyone's really having to rush off to events next week and anything like that. So I'm sure if the guys up top were all tired or we didn't get finished, that everyone would be happy to play for the trophy on Monday. I don't know though what they're planning on doing.
Adam, I saw online an article of you saying that you thought the Olympics would be better for amateurs to play. Can you just explain why you think that is, and what's your view on the Olympics personally?
Well, for golf, I was saying that. Boo said he thinks it should be for amateurs, and then I was asked, and I thought that's a good way to go for golf in the Olympics. From the little bits I know and that I've read about it, their idea is to grow the game and expand the game, which is always everyone's kind of goal, I guess, and get more people to enjoy the game. And I think for golf in the Olympics, the best way of achieving growing the game is to have young kids get into it through the chance that they could go to the Olympics as an amateur maybe before they're a professional, or for as long as they play the game as an amateur. And I think that's going to entice a lot more people at a young age into the game of golf. And I think that'd be the way I see it. For me, the Olympics is not really a priority, and I think we might have been better off going with amateurs in the Olympics for golf.
Jim.
Adam, you mentioned before the World Golf Championship possibility. Do you think there's an enthusiasm from the PGA Tour itself to get something like that happening, because they've got some connection with the President's Cup being played here and World Cup last year? Do you think there's a real energy for them to make it happen? And where do you think the money comes from?
I don't know, maybe we can drum some up if we talk about it a bit more. I really don't know what they feel about that at all, but can certainly see the direction the PGA Tour has moved. All of a sudden there's an event in Malaysia and there's a World Golf Championship in China. It's in this region, and I think it's not that far-fetched to involve Australia in that.
Yeah, it would seem like a natural loop almost. A lot of the players that have gone to the Asian events you've mentioned there have managed to find another week to come down here. I think Ricky did last year, playing.
Yeah, I think much like I was saying, the momentum that we've gathered to is because the guys have come down and seen the great courses that we have, and that plays a big part in the decision making for guys' schedules. What the golf courses you like, it does for me, and I know some of the other guys too. And certainly I think Australia seems like a pretty exotic destination for a lot of the guys from elsewhere around the world, especially this time of the year.
Adam, you've got about a year to decide on, I guess, the putters when the rule comes in. We saw Keegan Bradley using a normal putter, if you want to call it that,
right,
on the weekend and play quite well. Have you sort of sorted anything out there, or are you just are you practicing with the short stick, or?
No, not really. I haven't really spent much time worrying about it. I'm just going to try and putt the best I can the way I am at the moment for another year, and then deal with that about this time next year. But as we've seen, you said that Keegan putted pretty well. I don't think with a bit of practice it's going to be much of a big deal.
Adam, are you happy with the way you're running your schedule at the moment, and is next year going to look much different? And coupled with that, the man on your bag, where are we heading there?
Yeah, my schedule's fine. I'm happy with it. Next year won't be much different. I'll be starting a bit later, but that's not different than years past either. So, I'm just going to try and get myself in the best form possible for Augusta. That's the number one goal, starting next year, and then take it from there. I don't see too many things changing in the way I prepare. It's all been working for me, but I'd certainly like to get myself into serious contention again in all four majors, and like to think I've got a chance of, winning at least one, and hopefully more. But as far as the caddying goes, I kind of gave myself until after this week, and nothing's really changed. I've got Mike caddying for me for a second week this week, so we'll just see where things go. But it's very hard for me to comment when a guy's in the middle of doing what he's doing, and other people are also obviously interested to get the chance to caddy, and I'll kind of sit back at the end of the year and reflect on everything, including the caddy.
Second last question.
Okay, Adam, you talk about taking a break over Christmas and being home. I mean, it's been an overwhelming last couple of years for you. How important for you is it to get away from the golf course, and do you feel you need that at this time of year, mentally and emotionally and physically, I guess?
Yeah, I don't need to get away from the golf course, but maybe the tournaments for a bit. I can see myself playing a fair bit of golf with my mates and my mum and dad while I'm home. But, certainly a bit of a mental break from the competition and getting myself ready for what I want to do next year. Use the time kind of wisely and switch off a little bit, but also train and practice my way into the shape that's going to kind of hold me through next year's season. I think I can use a good break to my advantage and come out in really good shape and swing next year. So it's an important part of the schedule, but it doesn't mean I'm not going to play golf. I'm pretty happy to keep playing golf, but sometimes you just need that kind of tournament and travel break.
Final question, Jim.
Adam, you've been very always enjoyed following in Greg Norman's footsteps. Greg sponsored his own tournament a number of years ago, where you played very well in one time. Any thoughts that there might be a Adam Scott Invitational at Sanctuary Cove? A little bit of Adam Scott's prize money? There
is no prize money, but there's a junior tournament, the Adam Scott Junior Tournament there next week. That's about as far as that thought's gone. no, it's yeah. I mean, there must be a reason for me not doing that because Greg's event's no longer. So I don't. I'm not jumping in to that one at all. But you never know.
Excellent. Thank you so much for joining us, Adam.
Thank
Best
you
of
very
luck this
much.
week.
Okay.